Hey everybody, I'm Brian with Fort Knox Company, and I'm going to show you how you can save some money on your water bill. So if you have any type of trees or landscaping, you might have some drip lines or water lines, and you may need some of these. These are called Goof Plugs, or simply here this bag is called standard hole plugs, but they're basically irrigation water line plugs for any mistakes you might make, or if you ever want to cap off any of these water lines. So one thing I noticed here with our landscaping here at the rental house was that there was probably some old plants or something that was planted before we moved in, and there's just some water lines that randomly come out of the ground, and obviously they're going to nothing and they're just watering the dirt. There was also a water leak that I found that just kind of popped up about a month after living here, and I'll show you what that looks like and how to fix that as well. But the main thing was all these extra drip lines that were going nowhere, and as of right now we're not going to plant anything there, so might as well cap them off, right? So I'll show you how to do that. Quick fix, and it'll save you some water. So right here you can see we got water lines that pop up at the bottoms of some of these right here. They pop up at the bottom of some of the plants, but I noticed that there's random ones that pop up, like, where is that one at? Right here. Got one right here that just pops up in the rocks. We also have another one right here by the front door. Goes nowhere. And there's a lot more in the backyard and along the side of the yard. So I'll show you how we're gonna dig down and actually find that line, pull it out, and use these Goof Plugs to plug those up and just kind of stop wasting water in that way. And then I'll show you guys this break I found, and a good sign of if you have a water leak. This is the one that I showed you that was right by the front door, and this is usually how I find them. Right where it pops out of the ground, you'll usually be able to follow it down maybe about a foot, 10 inches, and we have that water line down here. You can see how these are just kind of popped right in there. So we can just pull these out, and then we'll put the plug right in that hole. So I just took a little hand shovel and I kind of followed this line that was barely sticking out, and as you can see I had to kind of chase it around, and I found it all the way down here. So just be careful when you're digging for these. Go easy. I like to use a hand shovel so we don't accidentally break it off and lose it. But I had to follow this thing about 1.5 feet or 2 feet through the rocks, and it kind of made a little snake motion, but I just kind of followed it down, found it right here. And then we can see where we pulled it out. A little bit of water coming out right there. We're just gonna put a plug right there in that little water line. So a cool thing about these little Goof Plugs is that they come with 2 different sizes depending on which holes might be punched, or in case the hole has been expanded a little bit. So they come with 2 different sizes, one on each side. And then I like to use a pair of pliers or something that you can actually get a good grip on this, so that we can actually get some force behind it, because you're gonna have to actually push this into the little black line there, the PVC. You can see right there, we'll zoom in a little bit. Right there is where the hole's at. Right on the side. And now you can see we have the plug right here. We're able to plug that line. We can remove this out, put the landscaping back, and then we don't have to worry about that leaking. But also another thing, where I'll show you the water leak, I thought maybe one of these had pulled out and then you just have water shooting out and it creates like a hole or a pit. And that's what I'll show you next, is where we actually had a crack in the line once I found it. What is it?
Whoa. Did you find something? What is that?
I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
It must be a treasure.
Make sure. All of these are like different. What is that? And I have
What is it?
okay. I'm gonna snap something and it's warm. Oh, it's too heavy.
So I headed to Home Depot for some 1/2-inch compression couplings, and then some of this tubing that you can buy for 81 cents. It's like two feet. But obviously we have a crack in that line. I need to replace it and splice it together. So with these two parts, I could fix the leak. So all I did is take this 1/2-inch line and I cut back the original one a little bit further so I can get this splice fitting on as far back as I could, and without having to dig up too much more, which you could obviously dig back further and then make this connection a little bit easier. But I want to make sure that there's enough space for these two to at least butt together. And then I left just over 1 inch of material that's sticking out so that it can feed into the other splice. So it's just going to go splice right up to another splice. But you can obviously do this over length, or you can do this whenever you want to repair your line. This is just something I'm doing to fix that crack. But again, this same method you can do to splice and extend, or to take out something, you can use these that have caps. But in this case, I'm just using these two splices here, just like this. I'm gonna fix that water leak. Just like that, pushing it together. Again, it's about 1 inch in both sides, and we got this thing repaired. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I was able to replace or plug almost 10 or 11 of those drip lines. A lot of them were in the backyard where there used to be more plants, I guess. They also had like an old planter bed that I think they were trying to grow some vegetables or something. So there was a lot of these lines randomly coming out. But just an easy way that you can kind of take care of your landscaping by yourself. You can add or extend to it using some of these things, or in case you accidentally, pop a hole where you don't need it, or you want to, adjust something, you can use those plugs and plug those holes. You don't have to actually replace the line. And then if you ever do find a break in the line, you can do like what I showed you, and you can actually cut it and splice it. You can branch off. I've done this when I've extended the water for our other house. I wanted to eventually bring water around to the back, and I was able to bring it right around to our side yard. We were able to plant. I just kind of extended off of what was existing already. So these parts you can find at Home Depot. They're pretty cheap, a few bucks at the most, and it's definitely something that you can do yourself. And in the long run, you can save yourself some money fixing those water leaks. We all know how important that is. But if you guys have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments below. I put a link for the plugs and some stuff in the description here in case you guys want to pick them up off Amazon. Other than that, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next build.